everyone. I hope you guys have relaxed and recharged after the wonderful lunch. I would request everyone to please take 2 minutes of yours and scan the QR code to join us on our LinkedIn page as well as on the Instagram to know on our recent updates as well as follow us for the same session, that is transforming your organization culture into thriving learning ecosystems. For this, I would request Ms. Dhanashri Kulkarni, India Head L&D and Talent Management Technip Energies. Dhanashri Kulkarni is an expert learning and development and talent management specializing in building strong learning culture that align employee growth with organizational goals. She holds a post-graduation in training and development from TISS and mechanical engineering degree from Pune University. With a methodical approach to L&D, talent management and change management, she ensures learning drives tangible business outcomes. Passionate about continuous learning, she shares at industry events and champions innovative strategies to develop people and organization capabilities. Can we have a huge round of applause for Ms. Dhanashri Kulkarni? Over to you, Dhanashri.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. So, you all sitting in this room shows your commitment towards building learning culture, because it takes a lot of courage to avoid the temptation to go for that one more round of dessert or continue the discussions with the fantastic learning and development professionals that are here today. So today I'll be speaking about our topic, which is on transforming the organization's culture. And when I was thinking about this, of course, we all know what is to be done. So similarly, I had my own set of solutions ready with me. And while I was preparing the presentation, I realized that whatever I'm preparing right now is nothing new. Everybody in the room knows. So what do I do in that case? What should be my approach? And that is when I thought of applying one of the practices that we typically preach, which is unlearning and relearning. And hence, what I'm going to be presenting today in the next 15 to 20 minutes is my attempt towards unlearning and relearning. So we'll start with this image. What does this image represent? Culture of India, absolutely. So what we see is the vibrant colors which are representing the diversity in India, the diverse culture of India. And whenever we speak about the word culture, the most important elements that I get to hear are that the definition of culture is that it's a set of values, beliefs, attitude, etc., that we all follow. Agreeing with this definition? But since we are unlearning, let us try to challenge this definition and see what else could be the definition of culture. So, let us have a very detailed understanding of what do we mean by culture, not from the organization perspective, but overall. So, if we look at the culture of India, one of the things that Indian culture is very known for is its ethnic wear. And if we look, traditionally the dresses that Indians have been wearing are mostly the non-stitched draping style, which includes saris, dhotis, veshtis. Now, why does this culture of dressing come to India? Has it been brought by somebody? No, but it has been an outcome of the weather that's over here, which is pleasant most of the times. It gets a little hot sometimes, gets a little cold sometimes. So you can change the way you're wearing your clothes to adjust to the weather. The other thing that India is very well known for is its food, especially the vegetarian food, which typically is not available across the globe. So what helps India in building this culture for a wide variety of vegetarian food is the climatic conditions and the nutritious soil that we have, which promotes the growth of various vegetables, fruits and spices, because of which today we follow a culture where vegetarian meal is an integrated part of our day-to-day life. Also, if you look at the attitude, the way in which we represent ourselves is very widely defined by the rulers and the invaders that came to India. So, the conclusion of this entire discussion is that culture is not something that exists independently, but culture is a byproduct of many things that are happening around us. Which means the culture of India is not just defined by the food that we eat or by the clothes that we wear, but why we wear those clothes, why we eat that kind of food. That is what defines our culture. And hence, the definition of culture is not something like this. This is an outcome of culture. But culture is defined by the circumstances around us. Now that we know at global level what culture is, let us try to understand how do we define culture at organization level. So a question for you all. So the way we say that the Indian culture of having a variety of vegetarian food items is because of the good climate, weather and the soil that we have. What do you think is the byproduct of organization culture? Any answers, any thoughts, any guesses? Yes? So what happens, this is exactly what happened to me when I asked this question to myself. I did not have any answer to it. And when I realized that I need to take a deeper dive, I read a lot of things, and finally what I realized is that organization's culture is a byproduct of the organization's values, policies, processes and the leadership. There is no independent culture that exists. The culture is built through all the things. For example, an organization which has a vision of doubling its revenue in the next 2 years has a very different culture than an organization which is trying to grow organically. An organization which believes in all employees working from office has a different culture than the organization which has employees providing hybrid opportunities to the employees. An organization with young employees is different from an organization which has senior employees in terms of age. And an organization which has a very strong leader, a very visionary leader, has a very different culture than an organization which has weak leadership. Do you all agree with me on this? Yeah? So what I'm trying to say here is that culture is the byproduct of the organization's vision, mission and all these things. So if we really want to understand, evaluate and improvise the learning culture within the organization, we have to work on these parameters, because these are going to have an impact on your culture. Culture does not exist independently. And hence, what we understand is that the culture of the organization is defined by all these things. The policies, the standards, the processes, the regulations, compliances, practices, all these things define the culture of the organization. Now, we all agree that we have the best in class processes, standards for our employees. We give them the best. That is what we all agree with. However, do our employees agree with us? They don't. And why don't they agree with us is a very interesting question to ask ourselves. And what we do when we try to explain to our employees that we have the best policies, we have the best growth opportunities, employees don't believe in us because everything that we offer to them, this is what they want in return. They are looking for career growth, they are looking for recognition, they are looking for compensation, rewards and work-life balance. This is what almost all employees need, right? When they are not able to align the policies with what they need, they say that this does not exist. And let me help you understand this in detail by giving you a small demonstration here. So in this room, if I tell you right now that I can levitate myself, which means that I can lift myself up in the air, will you believe me? Yes or no? No? Okay. Sorry? Demo, yes, that will come. So what happens is, when I'm saying you that I can levitate, you're not ready to believe me. Now what if I say that I'm going to lock these doors, and till the time you don't say that Dhanashri you can levitate, you cannot leave this room. What will you do? I'll come to the demo part. What will you do in that case if you are not allowed to go home till the time you say this statement? Exactly. What you will do is, you will say, yes, Dhanashri, you can even fly. We agree with this. But let us, please allow us to go home. Right? So what is happening here is that I'm trying to tell you, trying to convince you that I can levitate, but you are not getting convinced even though I'm telling you you can't go home. And this is exactly what we do with our employees. We tell them, we have the best policies, we have the best learning culture, we have best in class this and that. Do they believe in us? Because we are saying those things. What is needed is a demonstration, the action. Now where does this action come from? Not by telling. People believe in truth if they discover it themselves. Me talking about I can levitating is not going to help. You seeing it, witnessing it is something which is going to help. My 1 hour lecture over here trying to convince you is not going to help, but maybe me standing in some corner in the room and levitating myself will definitely turn all the heads over there. So the point here is that how can we really allow our employees to discover this truth, that we have the best learning culture. We have the best opportunities available for our employees in terms of upskilling. And for that, what is needed is, of course, storytelling. How many times we reach out to all our employees and tell them, this is an employee who did a fantastic course on AI that our organization had launched, and it has helped this employee get an opportunity in another department. How many times do we tell our all employees that this young manager has completed the first time manager program and now has successfully enhanced the productivity and the relationship with the team members? How many times do we reach out to our employees and tell them that 3 years ago our leadership went through an immersive strategic thinking leadership program, and the strategy that they defined during that program after 3 years today is helping us in increasing our revenues? These are the stories that people will remember. They will forget the name of the fancy program names. They will forget who were the business sponsors. They will forget everything. What they will remember is somebody attended that program and grew in the career. Somebody attended that workshop and ultimately got the kind of role they were looking for. And hence, our responsibility as leaders to build learning culture is to share these success stories, because nobody is going to believe what we say. People are going to believe the stories which are coming from the employees who have been benefited from the fantastic learning programs that each one of you are delivering right now. Now the challenge here is, how many such stories should we create? 1 story per year is okay? No? We need to have multiple such stories coming up, because culture is not static. It is fluid. When you share first set of stories, the culture starts changing. If you stop, culture is fluid. It will go in some other direction. So our job as learning professionals, when it comes to building learning culture, starts after the training program is delivered and after the employees are benefited from those learnings. And what we do is we use use cases, success stories, which are shared with the employees to let them know how employees who are attending the training programs are getting benefited from it. And we do it consistently, repeatedly, because we all know that culture is fluid. So, to summarize what we discussed, and before I go to my last slide, what we understood that culture is not something that exists independently. It is an outcome of what's happening around it, and in an organization, the culture is an outcome of the leadership style, the vision, processes, procedures, compliances, etc. And we have everything in place, everything is fantastic, but our employees don't believe in it, and our employees don't believe in it because they don't have a demo of it. And hence our responsibility to build a strong learning culture is to provide that demo through use cases, through success stories, continuously throughout the year. Now this is one aspect where we are already doing everything. All we need to do is just start sharing the use cases and success stories. What else can we do? A very interesting term that I came across very recently is latent learning. Does anyone know this term, latent learning? Okay, latent learning, yeah? So, in very simple words, if I ask you that if you walk out of this door, okay, just sit here, and if you are walking out of this door, which way is the restroom? We all know where it is. If I ask you which way is the reception, the stairs to go up, we all know in which direction they are. Did you learn it? Okay, let me learn. Left is this, right is that. Did we learn that? So our brain has a very interesting way of learning, which is called as latent learning, where brain is learning a lot of things, but it does not realize that it is actually learning. So the way you know how to go to the restroom or to the reception without learning it, just by giving an opportunity to our employees to explore something, is as good as learning. How many of you started using AI with an intention of, okay, let me learn AI, let me go through a course? Or did we really just said, okay, let me just see, navigate through it, explore it, and then we learned? How did we learn? By the second way. That is latent learning. Your brain is learning on the go. So how can we provide these opportunities to our employees which are related to latent learning? Just giving them an exposure. See, this is there. This seems interesting. And you will see that people will at least start going through it, learning something without even realizing that they are learning. Now, this is something which is very important to create a culture of learning. This is not about I am having some critical business problem which is to be addressed by a learning program and hence I am designing a program. Latent learning is not meant for that. Latent learning is about creating that subconscious effort in the brains of our employees that you can learn continuously, and if you don't learn, if you stop learning, you just feel something is not good around you. And that is what we mean by latent learning. So coming back to where we started, so when I decided that let's stop sharing what we all know and unlearn and relearn things, this is what I came across with, that to build learning culture, we don't really have to do much in what we are doing right now in terms of building learning programs. What we need to do is to share good use cases and success stories with our employees so that they realize that these programs can give them what they are really looking for, and at the same time, if we can introduce a bit of latent learning in different ways to our employees by exposing them to various, not online courses, but various tools, various platforms where they can go and randomly learn something, that is something which will help us build a strong learning culture within the organizations. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Dhanashri. Huge round of applause once again for Ms. Dhanashri.